everybody. I'm Don Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
And I'm Joey Evans.
Today we're taking a look at a game called Freedom 5. This is a game that it's been a while. It was kickstarted back in 2019 or 2020 and finally came out. The idea for this came out a long time ago from a game called Defenders of the Realm. And Richard Lanius told me he was interested in making a superhero one. I said, hands down, I'm interested in that in the Dice Tower Essentials line, which happened. And then in the process, they said, hey, we found a superhero universe. We want to use the Greater Than Games, Sentinels of the Multiverse universe. Yep. I thought, that's cool to have that in there. And they worked on it for a long time, and then I forgot about it. Finally, it came out this year, and we played it. So it's a Dice Tower Essential, so I already think it's a good game because back in the day. But we're going to go over it and talk about it and see what we all think of it here. And I think you're telling us how to play this, right?
I believe that's correct.
Well, let's see if that's true.
Take it away, me.
Here's the game setup for the first scenario included in the scenario comic here. The players can play any one scenario, or you can play through them in a campaign. Once you have set everything up, you are going to pick a hero that you want to be, and you will take a deck of cards and a few other tokens that are needed for that hero. So we've got included here in the box the Wraith, Tachyon, Legacy, Bunker, and Absolute Zero. All of these are in the core box. What the players are trying to do is advance through the various chapters of whatever scenario they are playing. So it'll give you some setup. Right here, you will set up the board and any other moving parts you need to. You are going to flip this over. There'll be a few reminders and things like that, and then down here it tells you what you need to do in order to advance to Chapter 2. Up here it says Chapter 1. We flip the page. It's Chapter 2. You're trying to do that, and once you go through all 3 chapters, then you'll win the game. However, the page might turn on you if the villain, the mastermind tracker here, moves to one of these tokens. So if it moves to 4 here, then it just moves to Chapter 2. And you want to get ahead of that. You want to be able to have things not escalate while you resolve the problem. That problem basically amounts to dealing with henchmen out here, dealing with these anarchy tokens, rescuing bystanders, and completing a few other various things that are going to get in your way. In this first scenario, we are going to begin by trying to resolve a justice card. Every player has a justice card that will mention something you are trying to do. When you achieve this, then we move on to Chapter 2. If no one does, by the time this gets over here, then of course it advances anyway. And then some villains are going to show up, and you'll be contending with them, trying to take them out. That's what you are doing overall in the scenario. So here we're taking a closer look at one of the heroes included in the box. This is Bunker Tyler Vans, and every turn, when it is your turn to go, you're going to go through a few different steps. Okay, so the first thing is you can flip over to your private life side of your card here. This card has 2 sides, you as a hero, you in your private life. So you can flip over to this side first, and then you may take actions. You have a stack of available actions over here, and every action you do, you take one of these tokens and you're going to flip it and exhaust it like that. And you can do another one and so on. Anytime you want to then, if you're done taking private life actions, you can flip over and then you can take hero actions and you can keep doing this until you're out of actions, and then you're going to then go into a villain phase in which you'll be attacked by henchmen. We'll be flipping over a scheme card, and some bad things are going to be happening, generally speaking. The main thing to remember here is that you have to be in private life form first, and then you may flip over to hero side. You can choose to never flip over and just stay like this, and if that's the case, then some of these evil characters are going to ignore you, okay? They don't know who you are. So that's one consideration. So let's go ahead and take a look at these actions, and on the side over here it tells you if you can do it only in hero mode, only in private life, or in either one, such as recovering here. So these are generally the same for all of the heroes, but they'll change slightly based on which hero you are. For example, we have here move, which works with either side, and I get to move one location. Bunker is not the fastest hero. Some of them will say much more than that. So starting from the top, attacking. Attacking, you have to be in hero mode. Let's go ahead and flip over to that. You can attack all the henchmen in your location. That means you are going to be rolling dice equal to the henchmen and the colors that are in there, and checking if you succeed based on what you are good at. So, for example, maybe for my first action, I would move instead, which I already went over. I would move from here. This is my standee, which I'm laying down, of course, so you can see it. I might move to City Hall. And then for my second action, perhaps I will attack. To attack, I'm going to roll. In this case, there's a single yellow in there, so I will roll 1 yellow die. I got a 1. That is terrible. I did not meet at least a 3, so I did not defeat that henchman there. If I had rolled at least a 3, then I would, and I remove them. I want to keep these in check, because if we have too many after 3, then you run into trouble where they enhance the villains and they start spreading out across the city. You'll put out some new ones in adjacent places to where they congregated. All right. So that's attacking. Ability lets you play an ability card with an action symbol from your hand. Every character has a deck of 24 ability cards, and they are going to have a couple of pieces of information. They have an ability down here that you can choose to play. Some of them take an action, some do not. So, for example, this one says action something something. I have to spend one of these tokens I was talking about. This one doesn't, so I can just do that without having to spend one of my actions. They also show you a die down here, and that is for fighting the villains. You have to discard cards to fight villains. Let's say, for example, I am fighting Ermine over here. Later on in the game, she is a green character. I have to discard cards with green dice, and then that's how many dice I will roll. I discard from my hand, let's say, all 4 of these cards. I grab 4 green dice, I roll them, and I try to, pummel the villains. Move, I have already talked about, so we can move on from that one. We have heal after that. In order to heal, I need to be in private life form. It tells you what you do. Heal 1 damage. If you're at hero HQ, which is right here, space 15 on the board, then you are going to heal all. For bunker here, I can also do that at the Workshop Avenue, which is number 1 on the board. To heal, you are going to, when you get hurt, I should say, you're going to take these tokens randomly, and you do that because you ended up a turn with henchmen, or because the villains target you, that sort of thing. You're going to get these, you're going to flip them over, and they tell you on the back how they are affecting you. For example, I have now this hit. I cannot use blue ability cards. Maybe I'll take another one, and this one says, hey, look at that, I have to place one of my action tokens on there. I have 1 fewer action while I'm still hurt. If I later on heal, let's say I heal while I'm at Hero HQ, I will gain this back exhausted, and I will get rid of both of these. That is healing. Recover is next, and it says I draw 1 ability card. So I'll just draw a card from my ability deck here. Personal tasks are things that you might be saddled with that you have to go kind of take care of in your real everyday life. You have to do this in your on your secret life side. You're going to have one of these, and it tells you, you have to meet with military tech and review potential upgrades to the bunker suit. So I have to make it to this location as a civilian, basically, and spend there a personal task action to get rid of this. You do not want to let these pile up. If you ignore them, then bad things are going to happen. The villain is going to advance their mastermind track. Next up, we've got Justice here, where you can attempt to resolve a Justice card at the required location. 1 of these. When you resolve one of these, you are going to get a reward. That you keep over here. You flip it whenever you want to get that reward. It goes on the other side. And you can also discard this side for a bonus later on, and then you fully get rid of it. And then lastly comes Interact. Interacting sort of manages a lot of different things. But it basically means if there are no henchmen where you are, then you can interact with an anarchy or a mastermind token. What are those things? Well, henchmen, if they are there, they are protecting me from interacting with anything. If I had not, done such a bad job rolling, perhaps I would have gotten rid of this. And then assuming that there was an anarchy token there, let's say there is an anarchy token right there, then I can interact with that. How do I do this? Well, I grab the deck of anarchy cards. I go through it until I find a matching one. in this case green. I put the rest at the bottom, and then we read this card and deal with it. Okay, it's going to give me something that's a little story, some test I have to make, and then if I succeed or I fail, something's going to happen. If I succeed, I get rid of the token. If I don't, it stays there. So that is interacting with those. Interacting with the mastermind tokens is similar, but you flip this over, it has a number, and you read in the chapter what that means, and you'll have that test, basically. You'll deal with that. Now, if there are no henchmen or anarchy tokens in your location, you can also interact with a bystander. If there are bystanders there, this is not there, then you can rescue somebody by drawing a card from the bystander deck here and getting some sort of special ability, okay? So you get the reward there, and also once you get 2 of these symbols at the top of the cards, these right here, then you can discard these and draw yourself a special card. These are pretty powerful. They give you special abilities. They also give you purple dice, which are wild. You can use these to roll against any color villain. So once you are done taking all the actions you want to take, then you are going to get to the villain step, where you are going to be dealing with some schemes. You're going to be getting hurt, I should say. If you are in the same space as some of these henchmen, you'll also be drawing a card from your deck and adding that to your hand. And then sometimes you're going to get lucky when you flip over one of these schemes, and it'll be a nothing card, something like this. Sometimes, most of the time, it's going to be something that looks kind of like that. It'll tell you to add some henchmen in some specific location, possibly add some of these mastermind tokens. It'll move some of the villains or masterminds, well, not masterminds, but the villains will move based on what color they are to some specific location. And then down here you have a box that might be some bad event if it's red, or some good event if it is green. Let me find one of those. So it might look something like this here. Add a yellow henchman and a bystander to the stadium there. 2 of these red henchmen to that bridge, and then add a green there and move that villain if the space has 3 henchmen there, and then down here rapid healing, everybody can heal 1 or draw an ability card. Great, that's good. So that's the idea. That's the final thing you'll do, and then it'll be the next player's turn. And you keep taking these turns until you either win or you are ended because you took too long to achieve your objectives. That is a high-level overview of what is going on. A lot of these parameters, a lot of these ideas are going to change based on the scenario, of course. But that should be enough to give you a little bit of a feeling of what's going on in the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top.
The Sentinels of the Multiverse Universe. You said you love it, right?
I love it.
You really do. I was amused by it when it first came out. I found it fun, even if it is a little on the nose. The one guy looks like Iron Man, the one guy is Superman, and so on.
It does. It deviated from that later. At the beginning, it was full head-on, and then later, it kind of became its own thing, because at first it was funny. It's like, oh, they can't get the IP. But then later, I think it came on its own.
And I like it. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it as a theme. I didn't love the artwork in the Sentinels of the Multiverse game, the original releases.
Yeah.
And because they had covers, it's a fake comic book, right? So they had covers that were like, oh yeah, this cover's from the 80s, this cover's from the 60s. They're made-up covers, but they look like the comics from that time.
Yeah.
Nice touch. Comics in that time didn't look that good.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion.
When Sentinels in the Multiverse came out, there was almost no superhero games. There was no Marvel, no DC. Mm-hmm. And as all those other games started popping up and everything, it kind of faded. It faded for me a lot. It was a game I liked a lot when it first came out, and it became more and more of a math exercise. And I don't want to really delve into that too much, but what I'm saying is this game for me I'm never going to play Sentinels again.
I agree.
This is that same universe, which is interesting and fun, and now I feel like the heroes are living and breathing. And in fact, I just did my look back, and I forgot that 10 years ago, the board game version of this, or might have even only been 5 years ago, the board game version of Sentinels came out. Sentinels Legacy. There was a board game cooperative version.
Did not
Sentinels
know
Tactics,
that.
right?
Sentinels Tactics, yes.
I was not aware of that game.
And this kills that too. This, just from a superhero vibe, instantly vaults into one of my favorite superhero games, period, because I like a lot of superhero games, but if you play, let's say, Marvel Legendary, it's a deck building game. It's a little abstracted in a lot of ways. Even Marvel Champions is a little abstracted in some of the card play and stuff.
Very.
This feels more vibrant. You're running around and doing crime and solving
You're not
problems.
doing crime, by the way, or you're playing wrong. You're solving crime.
I'll do what I want.
Okay. No, I agree. It gives you geography, which is always nice. And as you play the game, the more you play the game, you get to learn this sort of megalopolis or whatever they call it, where you're like, yeah, that's where the Revo Corp is over there. And oh, yeah, the library. And oh, yeah, the docks. There's always activity at the docks. And so you get to learn the place a little bit. And you'll feel very much like your character because you get who you are, a little backstory, a deck of cards that represents you and the things you can do. As you go through the campaign, or as you go from one setting from one scenario to the next one, you might get extra cards that level you up, give you new things to do. So it's very immersive. You can tell that this is very much a build the world, to go for that feeling first and support that with mechanisms.
Yeah.
You know, that's the kind of game this is. That's how they make them.
Yeah, you had a good point before when you mentioned somewhere else that you mentioned how Marvel has now become more of a cinematic type thing. This feels more comic, because you can do a lot of the crazy stuff that you do in comics in this. And I think for me, I was not getting superhero fatigue. I was getting Marvel fatigue. So this kind of gives me a different world to immerse myself in. And I think the mechanics are great. I think the henchmen coming out, I can see how people can find that tedious because that is one of those things that henchmen keep coming and coming. You keep trying to control those. But I love how asymmetric all the characters are, how everybody plays so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this game, like I said, the DNA is Defenders of the Realm, but there's a lot of changes from that. Defenders of the Realm had a single deck that everyone was pulling from. This, you all have your own personal deck, which really fleshes out your character.
It's huge. It's amazing. Yeah.
Not only do you have a special ability, you just have all the different things in your deck that make your character feel cool and unique. And even if you're losing, and the game can get pretty hard, you're going around doing cool stuff the whole time.
Right.
You get a card that says, kill every henchman in this spot and one in each adjacent spot. You're like, I'm amazing. Then they all show up later on. You're like, oh, got to keep going.
Yeah.
But you still get these moments all throughout the game that just feel great.
It just makes you feel like that character. I just had a moment where I was playing Tachyon, who's kind of like a speedster.
Yeah.
You play a card that says, move through 3 spaces and you knock out one guy in every space you enter. I'm like, great, that's fantastic. She's running around the city punching guys. Played that card. Then I have another card that does not cost me an action that says, put a card in your discard back in your hand. I'm like, yes.
That's the thing.
Tachyon again. Boom. And I did it again. It's wonderful. Yeah, that feeling. And then you go and play Bunker and he's slow as all get out. You know what I mean? You're like, oh no. His move literally is called like trudge or whatever. You know what I mean? You got to walk over there, but he's a tank. He plays very differently, and that's cool. Everybody's so different.
And it's right. It's like there's so much cannon fodder. You just feel powerful, even if you're slowly wearing down the big bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, slight thing I'm not a huge fan of in this game, and you may or may not like this. The game is set up in a campaign-esque situation.
That's right.
You can do sort of one-offs. I mean, you can pick anything you want. It's not going to be that big of a deal. You play through each of these things in chapters, and I actually think I like that a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
Right now, we focus on this. Then we focus on this, and then we focus on the big bad guy. That's how it works usually, and that's a lot of fun. I do know that I talked to Arcane Wonders. They will be releasing here's how to play a single shot. So pick some heroes and do some things. That'll be released online.
That's great.
That's my biggest thing because I don't always, if I want to fight maybe, some of the bad guys, but I don't want to necessarily play through the campaign.
Right.
That being said, playing through the campaign is a good way to learn the game, and you do get to beef up and get cool things and special abilities.
The campaign is a good one-time unlock at see every one scenario.
Yep.
And then you can be like, I really like the one scenario where he escaped from prison and was setting off bombs. I'll just go back and do that one. And then you got everything unlocked at that point. You can do whatever you want to, There's more content than this. This is, we're looking at the, what do you call this version of the game? The retail version of the game. So the big crazy box that I guess if you backed you get with a bunch of stuff in it, there's more content in that. But this gives you a whole lot of variety already. You've got cards that become unlocked for all the characters. You have ways to mess with those thugs, those minions. You can make them unique a little bit. And you can mix and match. You can just go and play.
Yeah.
I want to play the second scenario. I want to play the last one. It doesn't matter at that point. Yeah, having to play through it one time, you sort of do that. You learn it. You get to sample them all. That's not bad. You should probably play through the content in your games. You know what I mean? My one nitpick is each of those scenarios, like a game that is 3 chapters, they can be a little long. And I wouldn't mind them being a little bit shorter. They have a good arc. You know, like Tom said, you just focus on this right now. Finish your mission. Finish your whatever. You did that, advance to the next chapter, take out one of the baddies. You did that? Okay, finish the rest of them off. That's great. I like that. I like that focus. But it can be long. And some of the later ones have a lot of baddies in play you have to consider. And sometimes you're like, come on, you know, and the bad tracker will move. I might move the chapter along and you know, pick you up, hurry you along. But that's it. For me, that's kind of my one negative, is that when you say one shot, I like that. I hope those one shots are also a little bit punchier, a little bit faster.
And you said that you didn't even notice time going by.
I didn't, and that's how much I like this game, because I feel like you're always doing something and you're watching different sides. And again, it does play different. And I mean, I will be 3/4 way through the game thinking, man, next time I want to play that guy, or I want to play that,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm ready to play another one, which shows me what a good game. And I know Z and I were in there the other day looking through just the cards of the different characters, saying, okay, this looks great. You know, I haven't played Absolute Zero yet. Let's bring him out. Yeah.
So far, Absolute Zero is my favorite character.
Yeah,
Although there's an expansion one I want to try, but there's more that you can buy, more characters that you can play, and they all have unique feels to them.
They all really do, yes.
So, and I even love the whole, you got to pause to go to your kid's birthday party.
Oh, I love
Yes.
that. Flipping from hero to civilian? Yeah.
And because of the way they have the chapters split, I also am a big fan of mastermind stuff that's happening that goes along with the theme of the big bad guy. But there's also just random crime happening over city, too.
I love that this speaks to the comic bookiness of it. When you go and there's an anarchy token, you have to deal with it. They give you the theme in like one sentence. You know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah,
And
you
you
don't
buy
read 10
into it. You like
paragraphs.
buy into it because it's not cinematic in the, you know, buying into real actors and going to the movie
Right.
theater and whatever. You're like, there's a strange light in the sky and people are becoming hypnotized. You're like, yeah.
That makes
I need to go deal with this right now.
We can't let that happen.
I like that very much.
Yeah, for me, it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, it kind of kills Sentinels, but keeps the heroes alive. I think I forgot how much I enjoyed Defenders of the Realm. It's been a long time since I played it, but this is so much more fun for me than that, just because there's always interesting things to do. When you play Pandemic sometimes, or you know, games with few actions, sometimes I hate that whole, I have a fourth action, and I don't know what to do with
Yes,
it.
that's...
It
Here,
can happen sometimes. Yeah,
Oh, sure,
yeah.
it can happen in here, but there's so many things I did on my turn that even if I, for some reason, don't do the fifth action or whatever, I still was like, yeah, at least I'll go over here. I don't know.
Oh,
there's
no.
so
In this
much
one,
to
you can always
do.
draw a card or whatever at the
Yeah,
very
there's always
least. Yeah,
something to do
pretty
here.
much, yeah.
But I'm giving it a 9.5. I like it a ton. It's very, very enjoyable. Yeah, I'm going to be playing this for years.
I'm going to give it a 9. I really like it as well. I think it's wonderful. It's funny that you say that this is kind of killing Sentinels of the Multiverse for you, because for me, it's revitalizing Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Well, I bet it killed the original game.
Yeah, I have
Right.
to be fair, the sort of revised
math.
one or whatever, you know, where they kind of cleaned up the look and cleaned up the
Yeah,
rules.
I never played that one.
Yeah, it's kind of revitalizing that for me, where I want to dive into these characters again. I'm like, yeah, you know, let me go or play that game because I'll be a little bit more immersed. Yeah, I like Bunker. Yeah, let me go deal with Bunker and have him take on whoever. You know, I think this is really fun. It's a great cooperative game. There is a nice amount of cooperation. I think you're going to enjoy it if you like the big, bombastic, comic booky, whiz-pow kind of games. And if you like those everything's kind of on a razor's edge pandemic kind of games.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to kind of like both a little bit. this is going to be lucky. There's going to be some of those die rolling that you're just going to bomb it. You'll be like, first action. Nope. I'll try again. Nope. Do I give up? Do I do something else?
Up.
You know what I mean? Like,
Never surrender.
That's going to happen. You need to know that going in. It is the kind of game it is. But I really do enjoy it. When I'm in the mood for something like this is top of the list.
Yes, well, it's coming a bit higher. I'm coming in at a 10 on this. I love this game. This is exactly what I wanted it to be. Because like I said, I love Sentinels, and it fell off because of the math. I mean, I felt like towards the end, I was doing so much math on some of those. I'm like, this is now calculus for me, you know? But it's almost like Sentinels were old enough that now I have nostalgia for them. And it just felt good, them running around, and it just feels fun. Again, I guess the gameplays are long, but I never felt it because I feel like I got to run over there, take care of this. And as far as the henchmen that keep coming out, that for me kind of keeps the story moving forward. It gives you stuff to do. If you can't get to the big battle early enough, you have to solve things on this side of the city. And man, there's so much content. I want to play all the characters on this. It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Freedom 5, a Dice Tower Essential from Richard Launius and the Sadler Brothers and Arcane Wonders. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Joey Evans.
See you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.